Change? Shit. I guess change is good for any of us. Whatever it takes for any of y'all niggas to get up out the hood. Shit, I'm with you. I ain't mad at you. Got nothing but love for you. Do your thing, boy. Yeah. All the homies that I ain't talked to in a while, I'ma send this one out for y'all. Know what I mean? Cause I ain't mad at you. Heard y'all tearing up shit out there, kicking up dust, giving a motherfucker. Yeah, niggas. Cause I ain't mad at you. Now we was once two niggas of the same kind, quick to holler at a hoochie with the same line. You was just a little smaller, but you still roll. Got stressed about A and hit the line. When you had a Jerry curl, didn't quite learn. On the block with your dog tripping off Sharon, collecting calls to the tip, saying how you changed. You might be coming home, just got there. Gonna go to the mosque, I'm gonna chase tail. It seems I lost my little homie, he's a changed man. When I talk about money, all you see is the struggle. I tell you I'm living large, you tell me it's struggle. Congratulations on the wedding, I hope you're right. She gotta pay for life. I know you grew apart, you probably don't remember. I used to think for your sister, but never went a bender. And now I see us after school, got our whole shit changed, and we don't even think you got a big money scheme, and you ain't even with it. Knew in my heart you was the same motherfucker. And I can't even trip, cause I'm just laughing at you. You trying hard to maintain, and go ahead, cause I ain't mad at you, mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Like it's the cousins fighting, playing cousins, make the hood buzzing. No, that was buzzing. You should catch us on the roof or behind us. I'm reminiscing all the time. Hoping and grinding, wasn't nothing on our mind. The time we don't remember like a crime. We grind us back to the time was not too young enough. Fella to loving the way it does. Even though we separated, you said that you wait. Don't get nobody know you while I be locked up safe. I kiss my mama goodbye, wipe the tears from my lonely eyes. But I gotta shed a tear, cause mama, I ain't happy here. I keep trying, no more smiles for a couple years. Cause I ain't going mad, I'm knocking butlers on their back. Picking heads, I'll be back. As soon as I touch down, I tell my girl I'll be there till I'm there. Get fucked down, the homies wanna kick it, but I'm just laughing at you. This is a damn ass bitch, I ain't mad at you. 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 The devil's moving up, his niggas ballin' now. Bitches be calling to get it, hookers keep falling down. He went from nothing to lots, 10 carats to rock. Went from a nobody to the big man on the block. Just a local celebrity, addicted to moving key. No hated by me, escaping the luxury. See, first you was our nigga, but you made it. So the choice is made. Say you while you fade it. So for some game when the weapons blaze. So high up the fire, boy, when we make it to the better days. Cause crime pays, and in time, you'll find a rhyme of blaze. From the niggas in my younger days. So many changed on me, so many try to plot. But I keep a block beside my head, when will it stop? So God return me to my essence, cause even as I'm not rapping, I refuse to be a conversation. So many questions and they ask me if I'm still down. I moved up out of the ghetto, trying real now. They got so much to say, but I'm just laughing at you. Just don't know. I ain't mad at you. 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 Well, That's right. That's what Tupac says. I ain't mad at you. Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your nighttime, your right time DJ on a Saturday morning chop up there, folks. Go throw a few articles at you. Gonna drop the link down in the panel a little bit later on so some of you folks can come on in and share your thoughts on what we're talking about here. Hello to some folks already tuned in down here. DeAndre, what's going on with you, warrior? Hey there, Lady Neek. How you doing? Good to see you as always. And the hardest working lady in this YouTube street, Sharp Willie. How you doing? Good to see you as always. Good, always a pleasure having some folks hanging out there with me. Well, folks, I got a little bit of odd things to throw at you today. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. Little bird told me was talking to a little bird friend of mine, kind of whispered in my ear a little bit. It's been a minute since you've been on the airwaves over there on the other side of things. Let me throw this at you, but your comments about that. So we're going to start off with some new and some old, some things you folks probably already heard before, but I just haven't really heard my comments on it. But I got to say, folks, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm still kind of new to these YouTube streets, so to speak. And you know what? Before I go any further, drop me a one down in the chat room. Make sure you folks can hear me loud and clear over there. Am I breaking up or anything like that? One or two if I'm breaking up, and one if you hear me clear. All right. So I'm new to these YouTube streets. So I'll sit back and I'll observe a lot of the posts and the different folks that I hear talking about this and about that. Some I agree with and some I disagree with. But for the most part, I see the YouTube streets is divided just like society is. You can go to the barbershop and you have those folks out there, those brothers out there that, dare I say, because that's part of what we're going to talk about today, that blame all their woes on black women. Everything that went wrong, they blame it on black women. Every possible thing in their life. Must have been a black woman's fault. And you got the other brothers that I noticed that go overboard. They act as if all black women are gods. They think that all the black woman can do no wrong. I'm gonna push the buzzer on that too, because there are some black women out there that are simply treacherous. They are what they are. They are a part of our society, just as they're a part of white society, just as they're part of Latino society. Everybody has some bottom feeders. Everybody. And I say that for a reason, because there's some folks out here that, because they hang out with these bottom feeders, they want to blame the whole of one culture on just that. Garbage in, garbage out. If you hang it with low-lifed black women all around you, that's what you're going to get. I was just listening to a stream a little while ago, a debate, as they call it, and as I'm listening to it, there really was no debate. It was a younger man schooling an older brother about, and really he was, in my opinion, he was asking him and telling him, where did you go wrong, brother? Which black woman shit on you so hard that you think all of them act like that? But then again, as you listen to the stream and you hear him, he gives a clear explanation of who and what he is, wanting to or not. That's exactly what he did. So with that, folks, first, let's have a little history lesson here. This clip was sent to me over on Facebook, and unfortunately, I was able to download it so I can share it with you folks. So let me click over right quick, right? And this young lady's name, this young lady you see on the screen right here, she has an interesting take on black culture. Okay. And actually, she's directly talking to white America in this particular clip. And yes, she is an educator. And that's one thing you can't argue with, whether she's a black woman or she's a, Latino woman or white woman. It's hard to defy logic when you're speaking with someone that's their career, to teach other people. One of the top 5 underrated, underpaid jobs in the world. Educators, teachers. They damn near spend more time with our children than we do. But check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if I can get it to play here.
I'ma just jump right into this. You can come and view it later if you want to, all of that. But let me just give y'all a history lesson. Okay, I'm seeing a whole lot of this. The Confederate flag is not hatred, it's history, or it's heritage, or it's whatever you believe. That is a lie. And I'm about to tell you why it's a lie. Okay? The Confederate States had 3 flags. 3 flags, okay? They had one flag at first that did not have the bars and stars, as they call it. Okay, the hateful banner, because that's what it is. Okay, it's hateful. I don't care what you say to anybody of color. It says, "Hey, I ride with the Klan." That's what it says to us. So the Confederate States had 3 flags. They adapted the bars and stars was the second one, and then they moved it to the bars and stars in the corner. Hey, Chrissy, you already know this because I taught this in class. Had the bars and stars in the corner like the Mississippi state flag or the Georgia state flag. Okay, well, this is the deal. The Confederate States wanted to separate from the Union because they were adding other states that were not slave states. And then when they found gold in California, those plantation owners was like, hey, we can go to California and take our slaves and they can mine all the gold. And then we can continue to make money hand over fist. That is the real reason that the South seceded. Because they wanted New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, all those states south of the Mason-Dixon line to be slave states, agricultural states.
And how many of you folks knew that? That at that point in time, listen, and she'll go into this a little bit further, but at that point in time that she's referring to, the cotton gin had not been invented. So a lot of people are under the thought that slavery was done, and cotton and slavery went hand in hand. Before the cotton gin, it was not profitable. Just because you had to pick the little, if you ever seen a cotton field, there's some seeds in that cotton, and it wasn't profitable. Although you still had slaves doing it, it still was not profitable to get that done by hand. It wasn't. So, as this young lady well points out, at that point in time, you know, the big gold rush had just moved into the you know, on that west part of it. And remember the old thing, the wagon trains go west, young man, strike your fortune. The South understood that, so they wanted, basically, as I look at it, they wanted to invade that territory and annex it to a slave market as well. So what would they have? More free labor to go into these mines and mine out that gold and not have to pay for it. Right? They weren't even states yet. They were just frontiers. And if you really look at it, it was more Mexican property than it was United States property. Think about that. But the South recognized that. It was basically a first come, first serve. So if we go out to this new land, we take our slaves with us. Damn cotton. Nope. Didn't work that way, though. So let's hear some more of this young lady's comments.
Didn't really need slaves because they had textile industry and they started to industrialize before the South. Now, another thing that y'all don't know, that the majority of the slaves were brought over here not to harvest cotton, but to harvest sugarcane. Sugarcane will kill you if you've never seen it. So the majority of the first slaves went to the Caribbean, went to South America. There are way more slaves that ended up in South America and the Caribbean than ended up in the United States. Why, you ask? I'm getting to that. Cotton was not a profitable crop until Eli Whitney's adaptation of the cotton gin. You cannot separate cotton by hand. It's not profitable. But when he made the cotton gin, it was an easier way to more efficiently remove the seeds from the cotton. Okay? So then it became a profitable crop. That's when they started bringing in more and more slaves to the United States. So they could not only harvest cotton, but indigo and tobacco. Okay? Those three crops: cotton, indigo, tobacco. All right. So another way, when y'all are saying it's protecting your southern way of living, what you don't know, and then you haven't been over, is the three-fifths compromise. That they decided they were going to pass a piece of legislation that said a black person was only three-fifths of a white person. This is out there. It's the three-fifths compromise because the South said they weren't getting equal representation in the legislative body of our government. So that's why they came up with the three-fifths compromise. Okay? Blacks and slaves in the North weren't treated as badly as they were in the South, but it was still slavery either way. Okay? So the North is kind of like, we don't really need slaves. We have servants. A lot of the indentured servants that came over here, their families went to the North, okay, because of the industrialized economy they had up there, and there were other jobs they can get. Yes, I understand all whites in the South did not own slaves, but they wanted to protect the institution that made black people subservient to them. So I've seen kids say slavery for 400 years was a choice. Oh, it was a choice? Y'all don't know what happens when the slave rebellion was shut down. Y'all know about buck breaking? Or do you want to touch on the other thing that I'm not mixed directly? But y'all aren't ready for that conversation. My lighter skin bears the scars of slavery. I am this complexion because of slavery. My mom is my complexion because of slavery. If you think I'm lying, go to McGee, Mississippi. Everybody that's a Romac is related. Black, white, other. We're all related because of that thing right there. Okay? Back to this flag in NASCAR. Okay? You say it's heritage and that's what it reflects for you. But for me, it represents the Klan. When the Klan came into power, when they were created to be the spooks of the dead Confederate soldiers that had died to preserve this peculiar institution that is known as slavery in the Southern way. So when the Klan decided they were going to be Klansmen, and they were going to wear the robes because they were supposed to be ghosts, spooks, and they were going to fly the battle flag, which is now, which are popularized, the Confederate flag.
Absolutely right. Hey, Jay Shine. Good to see you there, young warrior. And you're absolutely right there, Neek. Sometimes, it's little jewels like this that you'll never see on CBS, NBC, MSNBC, Fox, or whatever. This is an educator. So imagine what she's teaching our young black children. She's teaching them the correct history. Imagine this. This is what we need, educators like this. Don't believe in that business. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. How many people right now, of those people that graduated in the 1980s and the 1990s, that test you took that says that you was able to get a diploma, according to what we know right now, you should not have graduated because 50% of your answers are wrong, according to history that we now know. Simply because they was teaching white history. Now we know where the Klan originally came from. They were supposed to be the ghost of the Confederate dead soldiers that came back to preserve that way of life. W.D. Griffith in The Birth of a Nation, add the cinematic burning of the cross a little bit later on. Life imitating art. That the president of the United States sat in the Oval Office for a free screening of it, said it was one of the best movies he had ever seen, paraphrasing. Break it down, young sisters, young brothers. I get so tired of going into these spaces and hearing these young men in their 30s, in their 40s, and even so much in their 50s and 60s. Disparaging black women, when right here in front of you, I'm showing you the power of one black woman. If you call that caping for black women, so be it. Because this is the kind of black woman right here that those folks over in those spaces, Manosphere, SYSBM, and a bunch of those other spots over there, this is the kind of black woman that they fear the most. A black woman with an opinion that's right.
Racist. It's purely and unadulterated racism. I work at a high school. My second year at that school, there was a young lady that decided that she was going to tie a Confederate flag onto her backpack. She was only there for a little while and she left. I mean, it's up to you if you want to fly that. But I'm not going to say we are not our ancestors. We have more moxie, we have more spunk, and we don't do it like in a peaceful manner. We tried peace. That didn't work for y'all. So now they want to tear some stuff up. I mean, it worked in France with the Revolutionary War. You know, the poor get tired and eventually they'll eat the rich. And we're tired. We're tired of this. We're not second class citizens. We're not second class individuals. And that flag is hateful. They do not fly any Nazi propaganda in Germany. Why? Because the Nazis lost. But in the United States, the Confederate flag still flies. Confederate monuments are still standing in the South. It's not okay.
Absolutely not okay. And she hit the nail on the head. Nowhere in Germany. And I think there's a young man down in the chat room that can attest to this. Go, Jay Sean, you already said that in public that you're in Germany, so I'll use you as an example. I dare you to go and find in public a statue of Hitler anywhere in Germany. I dare to go find you to take a picture in public of a monument that's held that says Hitler was a great man, or a school that's named after Hitler. But all over in the South, down here, high schools, recreation parks, buildings, streets, courthouses, military bases named after folks that lost, that fought other Americans to keep other Americans, hopefully at one point in time, it should be now as it is, in slavery and in bondage. You brought us over here. These folks down here brought us over here to keep us in bondage forever. That was their plan. To always own us as slaves. So much so, they went to battle to preserve that. And I live in a place where there's all kinds of places that gives me, I can just drive by them and see the history. And you know how you fade into this time warp in your mind while you try to exist. What was it like being a slave as I'm driving down Highway 61? Where two plantations are, one on the left side, one on the right side. What was it like being a slave, not knowing which way to go? If I escape from the plantation, I know the sea is that way, but when I get to the sea, where do I go from there? For those people who say slavery was a choice of what? Living or dying, living as a slave or dying trying to get your freedom. That was the choice back then. Once they put you on that boat, and in some cases force feed you, they considered you as property. And I'm using the word you because most of you look like me, my children, my grandchildren, my nieces, and my nephews. You notice in these black YouTube spaces, folks, you don't see too many white folks. Because conversations like this, whether they speak up or whether they hide behind it, it makes them uncomfortable because it makes them look at themselves and makes them reflect on their past as we reflect on ours. But as we reflect on our past, I hear a lot of people say, well, slavery was such a long time ago. Why can't you guys get away from it? It was a long time ago for who? If you're in your 50s, if you're in your late 40s, you're not too many generations removed from slavery. So chances are you might have heard as a young child Or as even in some cases, if you're in your 60s and 70s and 80s and of sound mind, you might even heard some of these slave tales firsthand. I remember when my mama and my pappy. So how could you leave that behind? And why would you want to? Why would you want to leave your history behind to appease somebody else's history? That's committing your own genocide. That's killing off your own. That's that Marty McFly. The picture disappears, the more of your history you wipe out. Fade to gray. Hey, crew, how you doing, my brother? Well, let's let this young lady finish up here, folks.
Not okay. And today, on the day that Medgar Evers was slain in Jackson, Mississippi, yes, the first slain civil rights leader was Medgar Evers. And then it was Malcolm X and then Martin. All right? Medgar would have been bigger than Martin. I promise you that. Okay? I graduated from the school that created him, that was founded by Hiram Rebels, one of the first senators elected in the state of Mississippi after Reconstruction. See, what you don't know is that during Reconstruction, that's when a lot of black wealth was built from the ground up. Tulsa, Rosewood, all these places that they came into and destroyed. And when they did it, they flew the banner of the Confederate flag. So when you say it's about heritage, it is not about hate. That flag is literally drenched in my people's blood. Whether they be black or Indian, the Klan didn't discriminate. They took them all. They don't care. I have an aunt. She's born in Mexico. She's Mexican. I love her to pieces. I don't like any of this. None of this is okay. None of it. Okay? And I found the easiest way to get in and destroy the system. I'm a history teacher. Yes. I love what I do. Yes. Do I teach all the teaks? Yes. But then I add a little extra in. Put a little seasoning on it. You know what I'm saying? Because if there's something that you want to find out or research, just open a book. Please, just open a book. I want to educate y'all and I want to help y'all. But if you don't listen and you still say it's about heritage, it's about hatred. Okay? Hatred. There's no other way around it. It's about hatred. And we're trying to educate y'all, even though it's not our duties to educate you. It's not. But it is your duty to look and consider other people's feelings. That flag is racism. That flag is hatred. That flag it's got eugenics all over it. A lot of y'all don't know what that is, but the Germans tried to employ that during the final solution when they wanted to eliminate the Jews. So until we address this ugly, ugly, ugly stain that we have on our country, it's going to continue to be like this. Don't tell me that you don't see color. Because if you say that, then you're saying that I'm going to discount what you were saying as an African American because I don't see color. Yes, systemic racism still exists. And then you're going to say, well, you're doing just fine. You know why I'm doing just fine? Because every woman in my lineage has a degree. Okay? My great-grandmother had to learn to speak Spanish so she could get a job as a janitor after having a master's degree. I was told at 10 years old by my great-grandmother that I couldn't go swim in the pool that was down the street from her house. Okay? Big, beautiful antebellum house that we stayed in Port Gibson. And I couldn't go to that pool at 10 years old. I'm 35 years old. That's not okay. There are things still going on in the United States today. And every time you say that flag is not hate but heritage, it's hateful. It's very hateful. And it needs to go. These Confederate monuments need to go. All of it needs to go. If you want stuff to change, then we have to address the scars that y'all have left on us. Okay? Y'all need to apologize to Colin Kaepernick. We can do more than just run behind balls and entertain y'all. All right? We can do all of that. It's okay for the honeypot founder to say, I want another little black girl to look at me and say, I can grow up and be this way. I can be successful. We need that. It's okay. Just because we're saying that we can do it, it doesn't diminish anybody else. But through history, every time we got it out the mud without anybody's help, somebody want to come in and burn it down. Tulsa, Rosewood. Okay? The only reason we were pushing for integration is because we wanted African American schools to be funded the same way the white schools were funded. We don't really push into being in two areas. All right? I don't know if y'all know this, but if that was the case, HBCU enrollment stays strong. All right? We're not trying to force our way of living or anything about our culture onto anybody else. We just want to be seen as equal. And then when we do it on our own, we don't want you coming in and taking it from us. Okay? There has to be some middle ground. There has to be some accountability. There has to be a conversation about what has gone on in this country. It's gone on long enough. And unless y'all gonna bring back the rights we had during Reconstruction, I'm gonna keep speaking up. I've been good. I've been quiet. Everybody been like, I know she gonna say something. She gonna pop out and give y'all the business. But I'm gonna do it eloquently because y'all want me to be the angry black woman. I'm not gonna be the angry black woman, but I am gonna show y'all what it's like to be young, gifted, and black. My black is beautiful, and I'm not gonna let anybody shrink that anymore. Okay? I am created and crafted beautifully by our Maker. He decided he's going to take a little pinch of sugar, some honey, some sage, some mocha, everything, and create what you see. My hair is magic, and my skin doesn't age. And I want y'all to understand that genuinely, black people, African Americans, we are so forgiving and loving when we shouldn't even be. But we are. Don't fear our equality because we're not going to do y'all like y'all did us. We're better than that. And we've proven that for the last, what, I don't know, 500 something years. So when you tell us to just get over it, how about you become oppressed for 500 years and then say just get over it? Okay? Okay? So I hope y'all learned something from this. You can share it. You can do whatever you need to do. Because this is something that needed to be said. And I might have been the right person to say it. So I hope I've helped you and educated you. All right? So y'all go be good humans to each other. I'm out. Check out the nails. Yes, Lauren Slaves.
Well, after a little self promotion there, okay, but y'all get the point of what the young lady is saying. You know, again, we built up these black businesses, as she said, in Tulsa and a few other places, and where they do systematically burn it down. You know, or we get up on something, we get stuck out of the mud, and here it is. We have these people that will systematically say again, deny us wealth by again denying us to be able to go and vote freely. Yeah, yeah, I said it. I know. Vote. Sometimes it's important. We all do things that we have to want to don't want to do sometimes. You know, but like she said, we are some of the most forgivingest people in the world. Absolutely. The rebel flag itself, it's a hate symbol. It is what it is. And anyone that flies that flag, whether you're being naive to flying it, ladies and gentlemen, or whether you're flying it on purpose by now, not unless you are under a rock, you have no TV, you have no internet, you have no radio, you have no verbal means of communication, you would know by now that there's a lot of American citizens that think that that flag, wherever it flies, is a symbol of racism. Stop but the BS. It is what it is. Some folks are even calling for the stars and stripes to change. That's a whole different subject. Their crew. Now, I kind of like to warm you up over there with a little bit of educational, little things like that. The young lady spoke so well. There's not too much more I can add on to that. It really isn't. It really isn't. Except for, again, we hope that we have strong black women like this. Yes, I use the term right now, strong black women, because that's what she is. A little salt, a little pepper, but that's what you need. You ever cook without those seasonings? The food is pretty bland. Even the Yassa boss Koon this Owens puts a little sauce on her delivery of that nasty meal that she be uttering over there. I checked her out the other day, and I don't even want to even talk about her because I don't have high blood pressure, and I don't plan on picking that up today. Like to remain as healthy as I possibly can while I'm throwing these left and rights, navigating my way through these YouTube streets. Like my man said, in Trading Places, he woke up and I thought I was in a battle with some awful, awful Negroes. Wake up, white America. This ain't no dream. Our young folks ain't taking this shit no more. Speaking of dreams and realities, there's a certain population of America that think, my goodness, or not only in America, all over the world. This is a phenomenon that's come all over the world now, folks. Again, I like to equate it to that casual killing act back there in the late 1700s, where Massa or the owner would go and impregnate these young black women folks. They go and rob them out their houses at night, impregnate them, and the white mistresses or the white wives would get mad, and they would take their aggressions out on these young mulatto children. Is all I like to call them. Sometimes there's some people want to call them misunderstoods. So much so that they would be killing these children and saying that, giving all kind of reasons why the child turned up dead. Casual killing act. So these Karens, they're now continuing that tradition of calling the police because they know the police were originated from those ghost riders called the Klan. And anytime we call the Klan, you remember the young kid, if you were born if you were alive in the 70s and could read Jet Magazine and you saw the cover of Jet Magazine, I do believe, I want to say the year was 1973, 74, that they published the picture, the original picture of I'll hold my breath on that one. But to see the damage that was done to that kid, and her mother wanted the whole world to, his mother wanted the whole world to see what those slave patrols had done to her son. Right about that same time, folks, I said this before on air and I'll say it again, right about that same time that was being published, around those same years. I was a young lad at that time, very young, but I remember a friend of mine named Carl Williams. I saw Carl on Friday. We never saw Carl again. When they found my friend, they found him in a ditch with his arms outstretched on a bicycle tire, body maimed and broken. Nobody ever found out what they did to, who did it to Carl. So they expect somebody like me, firsthand experience. All Carl did was leave his house. That I'm supposed to forget that. And I was a young guy. But that's a lasting memory for me. That's the lasting memory for my classmates. That one among us, for no reason, was murdered. For no reason. There's only a few of us that speak his name now. There's no law. There's no cold case filed on Carl Williams. There's nobody that still wondering what happened to Carl other than Miss Mason's class. Nobody ever sat in Carl's desk anymore. That's when you start making promises to yourself, folks, that I'll never, ever say what can't happen to you. What can't happen to you for no reason. So that's why these Beckys call, because they know what can happen to you. And before the advent of cell phones, it happened quite frequently where no one knew about it. Now we can put Karen and Becky and Chad, and even sometimes our own who falsely claimed that, on blast. There was a young brother who went to a restaurant, ate everything off his plate, offered up some chicken bones, said it was nasty. I want my money back. Had the nerve, ladies and gentlemen, had the damn nerve to live stream it. Yes, he did. Now, let's get to this next clip here. Let me pull this up, ladies and gentlemen. If I go silent just for a minute, please bear with me there, okay? Let's see. Who do I want to go? Alrighty. But as I was saying, ladies and gentlemen, you know, us as black people, a lot of times we always want to blame each other for what's wrong with us. Why we do this? Why we do that? What happened to us? Check this out.
It's like we got to hold them accountable. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for accountability, but when do we not hold black men accountable? It's like every day, every time I get on the internet, someone is always talking about what black men not doing right. As a matter of fact, the only time we do bring up black men is to hold them accountable for the stuff that they not doing. I mean, it's almost like we're letting our personal experiences and the media, first and foremost, dictate how we feel about our own men. Never mind the several instances of black men who have protected black women. Never mind the black man who pulled a black woman out of a burning building. Never mind the black man who jumped in front of a group of girls and lost his life defending them. Never mind the black men who are taking 12-hour shifts to defend a black woman in their neighborhood. Never mind that the vast majority, over 80% of black men are married to black women. We gotta stop letting the media tell us that our men don't love us and protect us. That's a lie. This country is hell-bent on destroying our men. Let's not help them.
Oh my goodness. Another point from another talking point from another black woman. Again, that's what they fear over there. As she said, why every time, and I know I sound country with that one, but what is it about this holding black men accountable for all the wrong that somebody sees fit to, black women included? Some of y'all can't escape this one. You know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all are included in this speech. Well, the black man didn't do this for me. Well, the black man didn't do that for me. Okay. So what about what about the group of black men, the armed group of black men that was marching in Stone Mountain up against the Klan? The stream that I saw about it was, all the streams that I've seen about it was from white folks that said, what the hell are these black folks doing with these guns? But I did see streams about black folks talking about what these white people doing with these guns, like that's something new. We know white folks got guns. We don't hear about like the young lady said about the black man in Texas that jumped in front of a crowd of black women to save these women's life. We don't hear about that. We don't report on that because it's not a car wreck. There's not enough nastiness there to make it interesting to folks. We can't hold a black woman accountable for that because that's not her fault. So that's not news over there. We can't use that in the manosphere spaces because that would rectify, that would make them saying that a black woman has some kind of sense that we have to use her talking points to get across to the point to niggas that don't like black women. Now I understand there is one woman over there, and I use that term quite loosely, but I asked the question to some good friends of mine. If she's such a good woman, why ain't none of y'all snapped her up yet? How is she still on the market? If she all of that bag of chips and some Mountain Dew. If a young woman like this comes in here, that'll pick her apart. They'll say her earrings are too big. She got big lips. That ain't a real hair. They'll find everything in their mind that they could possibly come up with and stand saying, damn, that's a nice looking black woman right there. That's why I left it up there. Where y'all can see this in my stream instead of just listening to my voice. The brothers that come in, y'all can see what a black woman really look like when she don't put on a whole lot of makeup. Look at that shine. There's nothing wrong with building a black woman up if she deserves that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Every black man wants a woman that I know. I can speak for myself. Every man wants a woman that is, dare I say this yin to his yang. Every man wants a woman that after they do their adult business that he can lay in the afterglow and talk to her, even if it's just talking about the weather. You know what I'm saying? I remember once upon a time it being one of those streams when I said that the real hyenas jumped on me like I had got out of bed with them. And last time I checked, the last thing I did with a man was play basketball. That's another thing I don't get about that side of the street. Why are they so quick to defend other men? Let that man stand on his, as they say over here, let that man stand on his own disrespect. Let him do what he do. If you big enough to put it out there, be it big enough to accept the opinion of somebody that don't agree with you. I am. Right about now, if I was open that space, somebody would say, oh, show your face, show your face. You scared to show who you are. What the fuck for? You not the 3 Fs. You not feeding, fighting, no fucking me. So what difference is it to you what I look like? Don't get it. You're here when I'm on the radio. You're there to listen to what I play. If you don't like it, turn the bitch off or lower it. You're here. If you don't like what I'm saying, go to another channel. I don't go on the radio. I don't come to YouTube to run a beauty contest. The skin I'm in is mine. What might not appear to you might appear to someone else. So that's not up for debate or judgment. What's up for debate and judgment, these words. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? That's what's here for you to debate and judge on. Not whether I'm fat, whether I'm skinny, whether I'm tall, whether I'm short, whether I'm light skin or dark skin. But that seems to be the primary target over there with them. You can't be a faux sandwich eating nigga and throw stones at somebody else. You can't get in the camera and your head fills up the entire screen and talk shit about somebody else. You can't get on a screen that looked like you ain't had sleep in 90 days and talk shit about somebody else. You can't do it, or you shouldn't do it, but here in these streets, we do it. Again, when are we going to stop holding black men accountable for everything? When are we going to start giving black men their just due? For the millions and millions of stepfathers out there. For those stepfathers who took a single woman and her children or her child in and treated that child as if he or she was his own. Not like Woody Allen, watch the child grow up, female child grow up into a budding young woman and commence to molesting her, or not like the other young brother that I did the rant on, that at 12 years old, he is molesting his living girlfriend's daughter. That's not a stepfather, that's a predator. When you hear those folks open those YouTube spaces, you shouldn't deal with a scrag that has children. And the abortion rate is so high amongst that particular amongst of women that we hate so much. And I'm going to keep asking these men this until they give me this answer. Who in the fuck got them pregnant? If there was 20,000 new cases of abortions, there was 20,000 niggas that was fucking. Some long time, some short time. Some was minute men, some rocked the boots all night. But they all, at the end, did the same thing. Instead of dropping their kids off in the shower or in the streets, yeah, I know it sounds a little perverted. During the throes of passion, he didn't pull out. Next thing you know, he got to be on Jerry Springer, Maury. Mic drop. Can you guys hear me now? Oh, I'm reading the chat there wrong. Just making sure you guys can hear me there correctly. Give me a 1 down there, crew, if you can hear me. But anyway, folks, what I'm leading into this next clip. Young man, yeah, Pookie is responsible. That's what it is. It's always the woman is always the responsible one. It's always her fault for going to have an abortion. It's always her fault. Like she got pregnant by herself. Now, as I said, there's a group of men out there that call themselves stepfathers. And by every sense of the word, they are stepfathers. So much so that the children recognize the greatness of this man. There's a song way back from the 1960s, 1970s could possibly. It's called Color Him Father by the Winstons. Check it out. It's a song about a stepfather. So we in the black community been talking about this since the 60s. The same thing, the same way we've been talking about white supremacists. We've been talking about the lack and sometimes of caring of those people who accept other men's children. Now, let me go and pull this next clip up here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see what I got here. Let's see. Who is it? Who is it? Okay. Let me go and pull this clip up here. And let me go over here. Y'all, excuse me just a second while I whip this out here. Let me see. Let me see. I need to go over here. It's still kind of a new thing for me to be doing here, ladies and gentlemen. So just bear with me. Okay. I'm going to go to here. And this young kid's name is Anthony. And what he does, ladies and gentlemen, he is so appreciative of the man that took his mother in along.
Yeah.
I need to like alright y'all, so today is Father's Day and you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be my Father's Day gift to my dad. So, dear dad, man, where do I start? I love you with everything in me. You're my dad, my father, my OG, my mentor. Man, you everything to me but my guy and my mother. I thank God that you met my mom and did not give up on her or me. It takes a different kind of man to accept the responsibility that you did. You came into my life when I was wanting some change. If it was not for you, I promise you, I'd either be in jail or dead. You saved my mother and I. You blessed me with a happy life and four of the best siblings I can have. Since day one, you never left my side. Even when I got out of the way, you never gave up on me. Wow. The next part, I just want to say a few words. It's a lot of it's all I can say types, but it's a lot of stuff that I just can't put into words. It's been times where like I felt like I just didn't have nobody there. It's like you was always there. Even my mama couldn't make you, was always there every event. Stuff you didn't even have to be there for, stuff I didn't even think nobody would come to. Times where I just needed somebody to talk to, you were there. Not to throw no shots or nothing like that, but you all I got. It's like you my father at the end of the day. So alright, so I already say this, and I want you to adopt me as your own. I have, along with everyone else, seen you as my father and the number one male role model in my life. By you adopting me, you will also become my legal father and the eyes of the boss. You have earned all credibility for the man that I'm becoming. Oh man. Whoa, man. Oh my god. What? You will be the man that hang on to it. It will be your father hang on to the
All righty there, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. I do believe that I am back connected again. If you folks can hear me, or if I need to go out of the stream and come back in again, let me know here. Let's see. All righty, folks. I think that I'm back now. I am connected. Okay. My apologies for the disconnection there. Again, we'll pick this right up where we left off at here. Again, one of these. Thank you very much. There. Another one of these heartwarming stories about a young man. Again, the power of what the out of the mouth is babe. Sometimes he recognized the greatest gift that he could give to his father in rewarding him for being the type man that he was to help raise a child that was not his, was to go and literally let this man adopt him. You have all legal rights to me. I am literally your child now. All that you have done to me, this is the greatest gift that I could give you, myself. I recognize you as my father. Now, there may have been a man who impregnated my mother, but as far as I'm concerned, you are my legal father and all the rights that come to that. With that, there's no greater gift that a man that could receive. No tie, no car, no house. This kid spoke from his heart. And I hear over those manosphere spaces over there and SYSBM spaces that that's the worst thing that a black man could do to himself, to go and find a woman, especially a black woman with children. There's no reward in that. Well, here's living proof that there is a reward in that. See, the best way to conquer your enemy, like folks like those people over there, folks, is to show them living proof. They can't dispute this. You can't dispute that a man raised another man's seed to the point of that the only thing that he could possibly say is, I love you, and I want you to be my legal father. Again, you can't speak on a subject unless you can speak on a personal level. You know, of course, in my success, in my life, there was a time that my wife and we split up, and there were children involved. That stopped her from living? No, it did not. She continued to date after us. And I was hoping during the course of her dating that she was always mindful of who she brought around my sons. And I was always mindful of who I brought my sons around. Again, goes back to the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. We see it all too frequently of the wrong type man going into these single mothers' households, and they're not going there out of love. They're going out of there as predators. They hang around as predators, waiting to get on their hand on the next young victim. This is proof that a single mother can find the right man.
You just don't know. You don't know influence over me. I work for you
What's the answer to the question?
Hell yeah. Man, this one, man, this means, That's the only way I feel like I could retain my love. Nothing else I could have done to give you what you made. I'm not gonna give you my last name. Right? We all can be able to say in legal. You know, so, man, and that also makes you my legal grandfather, my legal uncle. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, we always do this. I got to do this. Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir. All right, so good. That's it. Oh, the camera right now. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I had to do it in my arcane, so I got some more to say. But yeah, so that's my Father's Day gift to my pops, you know what I'm saying? I show me love, man. It took a lot, especially for me to come and carry. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's all need to be said. Thank you. And notice, folks, he said, it's you are now my grandfather, you're now my uncle, and you're now my cousins. So that just tells you the extended family, that everybody was a part of this young man's life, that they all treated him like from the onset, like you are a part of us. They didn't treat him as a stepchild. They treated him as a child, as a member of their family. And in too many times, in too many situations, as says down in the chat room, it's unfortunate that men will look at these women as passovers. But some of these same men that are overlooking these women are some of these same men that's impregnated these women. It just left them there. Now, at point in times, was I a perfect father? Of course not. No one's perfect. Is there something? There's a couple is there a couple do-overs when it comes to my children that I wish I had? Of course there is. I think any man would say that. Yeah, there is a couple do-overs I would like to have back. But you can't redo life. You can only try and make up for that one time that you might have said something on the line to your child, or you might have not done something for your child. But to me, to be quite honest with you, it really does. It takes a special kind of man to raise someone else's child. It really does. And it takes a special kind of woman to allow that man to raise that child. Because a lot of times these men go into these relationships and black women, y'all thought I was going to forget about you. Yeah, black women. Nah, don't put your hands on my baby. If there's gonna be any disciplining, I'm gonna be the discipline around here. I'm gonna wear the pants around here. I'm gonna cut the ass around here. And all it ends up to is go to timeout. Yeah, your daddy crazy. Your stepdaddy crazy, but your daddy ain't shit. For every woman that I've ever dated with children, if I see, to be quite honest with you folks again, if she talks to her children any kind of way, cursing, or don't tell her children to excuse themselves when they're in the room and she don't really know me, that tells me how she runs her household. That eventually Pookie and Ray Ray will just open the bedroom door when I'm in there, or open the bathroom door, because there's no stability in that house. Maybe that's why there's not no man there. Maybe that's sometime why some women can't hold on to that good man. It's not so much that it might not be the sex of it. It might just be that just your attitude is just so much so that the man was saying, you know what, I can't raise the children the way they're supposed to be raised. I can't discipline them when they're supposed to be disciplined. So the children are not going to listen to me. They're 6, 7, and 8 now. What's going to happen when they get 11, 12, 13 and start smelling their armpits and start getting hair? They're going to want to fight me. Cut my losses. I got to go. So some black women, you do bear the scar of that. Them ain't your kids. But yet, in the same breath, You'll say, well, my kids need money for this. They're my kids when it comes to my pocket, but not my kids when it comes to disciplining them. They're my kids when they need to be picked up to taking the ball practice, but they're not my kids when it comes to discipline. They're my kids when it comes to, can you give them the money to go on this field school trip? They're not my kids. Black men, now I'm going to talk to you. You got to stop making compromises about that. The first time she tells you no, if you know you're in a committed relationship and you sleeping over that house a couple of times, and that child is the first one you greet in the morning, or the first time he greets you in the morning, don't be walking around in your drawers. Put your pants on. Put your shirt on. Be respectful. Hey, little Timmy, look. I don't mean no harm, but you just can't go barging into your mom's room like that. That's how you gauge the temperature of how the woman is going to react when you start disciplining that child, because the discipline starts right there with that first interruption of that whole there, little Timmy. Wait now, wait. I know you used to your mom leaving by being by herself, but you just can't go and bust it in your mom's room anymore. And little Timmy starts to be 8, 9, 10 years old, and he wakes up in the morning with, of course, 9, 10 years. Listen here, little Timmy, before you come out the room, put some pants on. The more discipline you start to extract, the more that you start to stand up and be the man in that house. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Vonda, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? You got to start extracting the discipline step by step. You just can't go into a house where there's mother with children and start beating ass. Start correcting the little things that they do. So when it comes to something big, I can't get away with that because he corrected me for not taking out the trash. When you start dating a woman with children, you don't inherit that woman. You inherit everything that comes about her, good, bad, or indifferent. Now, I would ask anyone right now to, no disrespect, but I think if you run into a woman right now, if you were just to go to Walmart, chances are she has a child. And be careful out there, Vonda, and don't work too hard. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, you have situations and a way to handle a situation of being a man that's in a relationship with a single woman. There was a stream a couple of days ago that a little bird popped in my ear, to where the owner of the stream was saying that black women are victims, dare I say, of their own sexuality, and that's how they determine their mate, by the man's sexual prowess. In some certain degrees, in some circles in Black America, black women don't say it ain't true, because it is. It absolutely is. Some women will use their sexual prowess to get anything that they want. Some men will think that dinkaling is made of gold. That's the most precious commodity that they got. I know how to put them on it real good. And that's what they base their relationship on. The sex. Well, I think I've said this before. The average sexual session between man and woman, regardless of who you are, lasts about 13 minutes. So what you gonna do with the other 24 minutes and some change, 23 hours and some change? That's on the average. I'm just, and not saying that folks don't have extended sessions, or some people just don't have oh, she wanted what's quick. Hey. But this guy was literally on this stream preaching that. And he was trying to convince his audience that that was how most black women thought. Well, in some streams, I could see where he would get that, because if that's the only stream that you would listen to, I can understand why you would think that some men, some women, some women will think and have streams nothing but only talking about sex. Or they'll sit up on the screen and tell people to cash app them just for looking at them. And folks will do that. So there is a percentage of our population that, again, that are sex driven. That the only thing that they'll ever see in their partner is how much sex that they can have. But again, once that's over and done with, once the sexual appetite is filled, what are you going to do with the rest of your time? Are you going to be able to go to a library? Are you going to have, is your finances correct? Are you going to be able to sit down and have a meaningful conversation with this woman at any other time other than the few times that you two are entangled in the bedroom? And then the sentence along in it is, after that, do you go back to your favorite chair? Or does she go back to playing solitaire on the phone? These are some of the things that I've heard some of these folks say. Just today, I was listening to another stream where a young man. Now, keep it in mind, folks, most of the people that I'm paraphrasing or quoting are in their 40s, in their late 30s. These are young men that will tell you in one breath not to deal with black women at all, to go find you another nice looking woman in another country, to don't spend any money on a black woman at all, to don't try and save a black woman from tyranny or something like that, because all it's going to get you is heartbreak. Well, I always ask these men, well, what kind of black woman are you trying to save? You haven't heard the whole old adage that you can't turn a hoe into a housewife? That you, and no matter if you put pearls on a swine, it's still going to be a swine. That the measure of a relationship shouldn't be measured in your sexual prowess. But these are the things that they talk about over there in those streets. These are the things that they say for some reason or the other is, something we should like to engage ourselves in. And speaking of this, folks, I was, that very stream that I was telling you guys about earlier, I was listening to, and of course there was this was a debate stream, but what caught my eye is towards the end of it, when they got into rapid fire mode. And I'm trying to find exactly where their rapid fire mode was at, but where they would talk to each other. I should have stopped the stream there, but I think I'm somewhere around it. But let me see if I can pull it right up on it. I'm trying to. It shows me. It gives me one of the questions that one of the guys asked, and I want you to hear the responses of what what his response was. And let me see if I can pull it up here. I should have. Well, here's no, this is not it. I do apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I should have had this. I should have had it set, but I let it run, and I forgot to put it exactly back to where what I wanted to hear. But anyway, one of the questions. Let me see where we at here, and then I'll see what exactly what I can do.
Ahead and unblock them. But you motherfuckers who I don't want in my chat room, motherfucker, you want to get unblocked, hit this fucking cash app. Motherfuckers. How about that? Carry on.
What I'm saying is simply that Jay Sean is actually fighting for a system that he's actually not actually engaging in himself. And he wants men to make bad decisions based on the people. It's just at the end of the day.
I said that, right? I try to make that decision. Go ahead, man. Keep putting words in my mouth.
I'm not even done with the statement. At the end of the day, most of these women are here to find a man who want to take them seriously, who don't want to count on their actual past, and I want them motherfuckers to suffer stars and die. It's not hard. It's really not hard. I do want them to pay. I do want you to pay.
That's what you forget her past. That's what I used to be a whore, but you know,
I'm not even done. I'm just saying at the end of the day, because if you chose wrong before, you're not going to be a fresh dude at the end of the day who's going to be coached to take your whole ass seriously later on in life. This is what I'm trying to stop.
Hey, can you define a fresh for me? Can you define a fresh dude?
A fresh dude is a dude who has done everything right, who's been cultured properly, who don't end up with any one of these 28 plus women who've been ran through on the fucking market. That's it.
Now, did that make any sense? Well, first of all, he's he's acting like that, you know, that black men don't age. That every black man has once a black woman reaches the age of 25, she's no longer viable on the market. If I'm assuming this correctly, at a certain age, black women are no good. But okay, what would make a 25-year-old black woman, in most cases, want a 60-year-old black man, or vice versa? What would make a 25-year-old white woman want to date a 60-year-old white man? I think basically about this. Yeah, I think it's all about the money. It's all about the Benjamins. That's where they invented the sugar daddy clause at. Do you think what's the lady's name that died here some years back? The pent up girl who married the 80-some-year-old guy. I forgot her name anyway. But you know what I'm saying is this by this guy's standards, you know. The young black women don't have any choice but to be dated to by these older men because they don't want the 30-year Anna Nicole Smith. That's it. Thank you. Right. Remember her. Come on. Who all thought that was a legitimate marriage? Old man getting pushed around in a wheelchair. She marries him. He has millions and millions of dollars. She marries him. Okay. Has a baby by another dude. The baby father, once the old man dies, okay, he was nowhere in sight until the old man dies and the fortune is being left to Anna Nicole. All of a sudden, he wants to speak up. Seems to be the same thing over here. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I was looking for there, Vonda. Security. That's why a younger woman tends to gravitate to an older man. Security. What comes with security? You can't be secure if you ain't got no money. You can't be considered a secure a man of some type of security or some kind of monetary value if you got no house, if you're renting just like she is. You hear some of these guys talking about they're 6-figure niggas and they still live in an apartment. What smart 6-figure nigga still has an apartment? Not unless he's renting it to somebody else. She liked his smile. Shit. And then you're absolutely right. There are some women that have those daddy issues. Of course, there's a lot of, well, yeah, those daddy issues. You know, my daddy wasn't around, or my daddy was such a strong force. Said I'll never find another man that don't measure up to my daddy, or don't act like my daddy, or you know. I don't think she liked to smile too much though. No. My man had more. He had more age spots. Or he had age spots everywhere. Come on now. There's this old song by the Eagles called "Lion Eyes." I don't know if they wrote that song about her in the future, thinking that Anna Nicole Smith would fit that description of that song, but she fits it to a T. Go look up the song by the Eagles called "Lion Eyes." Now, you know, these guys in these spaces say that they don't need women. That they can they want this, that if you are let a woman, if you have a black woman, then you're by this word that they use, the gynocracy. You fall victim to that. Well, I say to any man, if you're in a relationship and if you are that weak to allow a woman, or any other person for that matter, to steal your identity, then you are to blame, not the woman. For all these men that they call these, what do they call them? Simps. I'll get to them in a second. But you are to blame. If you allow someone to tell you and to dictate to you who and what you are to blame. Somebody said it as a joke, but it is what it is. Self-esteem. Self-esteem. It's like self-pleasure. Nobody helps you jack off, do they? You don't ask for help doing that. But again, there's so many times where you go into these spaces and you sit back in the cloud and you listen to them and your mouth just fall open and blink. Did he just say that? It's like this clown they got in the White House. Everything he says is so easy to fact check. And you don't even have to go to Google and fact check it. It's just common sense. Again, if you're a 6-figure nigga, why is you in an apartment? If you're a 6-figure nigga, why is you holding conferences in your car? Not unless it's a part of your gimmick. If you're a 6-figure nigga, what you really need, the support of the cash apps. Why do you hold streams in such length and it's so many times during the day to suck up folks' money for knowledge that you should be giving away? Nowhere on my radio station or any of these have I ever asked anyone, hit that link. Knowledge is supposed to be given freely. These guys say we don't need to be a part of the community. Or where did this word community come from? These guys over here use so many different words sometimes, but you know, this community, I think it is what it is. No need to try and smarten it. The word no more than this community. It is what it is. So these guys that complain about the state of affairs in the black community, these are the same guys that are sitting on the couch with the YouTube channels and the Xbox talking about the latest game. And right after they just disparaged some black woman about coming into their channels, speaking her mind. Gas for pearls. And then they got the nerve to tell some of these guys that simply because you decide to marry someone out of your race, that means you have no talking points about black life. Not necessarily. Just because you didn't marry a black woman, that means you stop giving a damn about black society as a whole. That don't mean your relatives are white. You married a white woman or you married a Latino woman. That's your business. The heart know what it wants. But again, for those who think that the majority of black men marry outside of their race, the 80% tells that lie right there. If 80% of black men are marrying black women, wouldn't that make 80% of the black women married to black men? It can't be a different percentage, can it? So you mean out of the 100% of black women, there's 20% of them that are not married to black men? Say some are married to the Latinos, some are married to the whites, some are married to this, to that. We still own the monopoly on black love, black men, on black women love, to be specific. We still monopolize that. That's the question of what you won't do with it. You won't dog it. You won't tell her how bad it hurts you. Is that the legacy that you want to sit around and where somebody remember you when they pull up your stream? Damn, man, every stream all I heard you talking about was how bad women treated you. Did you ever have a good relationship? Oh, hey, Pops, every time you on a stream, all I hear you doing is cursing. Do you ever know how to articulate yourself without screaming and yelling? Hey, Pops, I don't think I'm going to share this with my friends because, no, we don't think like this no more. We don't think to leave the community and just leave it alone. Go find us somebody, and dare I say use one of these words from a good friend, DeAndre down there. We don't go to them dirty foot countries and try and bring something back to the States and call it a queen. For those of you that have traveled abroad, you know, if you've been to places like the Philippines, all it takes is some fresh fruit and a bag of Hershey's Kisses, and you can get any 10 you want. Or promise him a trip to the PX the next day. Pussy by the pound. Same thing in Korea. They're not after the man. They're after what the man can do and the places he can take you. He can take her. Eventually it comes down to, I put him on it good enough. Put him on it good enough. He'll want to bring me back to the States. He bring me back to the state. That means I can bring my mama, my little brothers, and my cousins. I got a brown ID card. I can go on the base. I don't need him no more. All I have to do is be with him for a year. Don't you know that they have this figured out to a T? I would suggest to these folks who go over to these, dare I say, dirty foot countries and go over and bring these women, I would suggest you just get on one of these fine Russian women or fine Latino women sites and order you one, save the plane fare. Or be like, sign up for the cast of 90-Day Bride or some shit like that.
Stop making these streams about all black women want is a big dick. All black women want is some hot sex and a good drink and a chicken sandwich. You can't tell these black women that work for NASA that. You can't tell these black women that hold government offices that. You can't tell these black women that are in the military that outnumber black men that all they want is a big chicken dinner and a black man that'll lay on the couch and complain about what he can't get laying on the couch at 2:00 in the afternoon with the same shorts he had on for the last 3 days with the pocket hanging out with nothing in it. If he smoked, cigarette butts all in the ashtray. Wondered if the woman, when she got off work, brought him another pack. If he drank, hoping she'd walk in the house with a brown bag. I seen them all, folks. Me personally, I would never settle down with a woman based on her sexuality. If that's all she got to bring to the table, and this is the only time I'll be in agreement with them. Yep, you are hit it and quit it. Yes, that's exactly what you are. You are hit it and quit it. After that night, the only way that you come back, that you surface back up on my radar, if we happen to meet up in the same spots again. Somebody asked me the other day, I went to your I went to your Facebook page, and all there is pages of only thing that's on is music and edit news and all that, but and it doesn't say anything about you, dumbass. Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. It tells you, my Facebook page tells you, other than without the picture of me and the person of me, the physical presence of me, tells you exactly what I'm about. But I got my hand a little dabbled in everything. It also tell you that if you go farther enough back, it'll chronologize exactly where I came from and where I started at and what lessons I learned along the way to create a viable radio station out of thin air. But yet you folks rather sit back and complain about what you can't do. I guarantee you, man, again, you can't talk about people and if you can't talk about yourself. The only reason personally I have slowed down is because I have a medical condition that says slow down or die from it. Only medical condition some of these folks have is they don't know how to put their shoes on to get up out the house in the morning. The same brothers will sit around in these spaces and shit on men in the military, shit on black women in the military, and absolutely at home do nothing. The highlight of their day is on the shore. Let's listen a little bit more of this brother that out there.
I don't fuck what y'all think. You niggas are really good. Let's kill these niggas. I'm not fucking on. Stand up and actually say you are not to take fucking ran throughs as your first, second, or fourth choice. No, don't take them. Don't take them.
I'm just trying to pick. So you telling me a 35-year-old could be considered a French dude?
35 what?
A 35-year-old man
who don't have experience with these fucking red through hoes? Absolutely. On the same level, yeah. When he has his shit together, you see, I don't fight for fuck niggas. I don't fight for dudes who ain't got their shit together. I don't fight for actual non-productive men. So why you trying to?
So you give it
I don't give a fuck, nigga. This on some dumb niggas. Yeah, there are plenty of actual incel women in this fucking chat. That's what we have looking for a man though. What the fuck are you dumb enough to take their own ass? Why the fuck do they hear though? Why they hear though?
That's his, you know what's funny? I'm looking at the chat room, looking at the brothers ask me questions, and all you doing is looking at the goddamn women.
Ain't that funny? I was thinking the same thing, that Jason. You in the chat room picking over what the men say to say. As I'm looking at this chat, I have not seen that woman in this chat room that says anything about, hey, anybody, any fellas out there in Chi-Town looking for a date. So who are you dealing with? What type of women are you dealing with to have this theory? You must, man, have went to the school of kick and buck tech. They kick and bucked your ass everywhere you went. If that was your game, if you calling yourself having game, no wonder you sit in that lonely four-cornered room with your dick in your hand. No wonder. Two grown men are on a stream laughing at you, literally. And you don't see that. Women in the chat room laughing at you, literally. But you still trying to save face, hollering about the old women. Well, I saw you earlier in the stream. You pretty old too, brother. You ain't no big spring chicken.
I don't give a fuck. I want these hoes to pay us stuff. You're not going to get off with anything. There's no career step and retirement plan for none of you women. That's right.
Damn, but good listen.
Fuck them. You're not going to win. I'm going to test you motherfuckers off the market before you all hoes have a chance to fucking come out here and talk to you need a productive man right now. I don't want none of these
Shit. Not hey, I'm pretty sure they don't want
it. So I want all the fucking birds.
Y'all even, man.
You gonna fix it. You're not gonna fix it.
All right, folks. That would be enough of this guy here. Let me there is one part that, and I do believe this is it right here. There's a brother in the chat room that I want you to hear here. And I believe this is when
happens. You just like my family at home. I'm coming home in OT. All right, one assignment. So, with that being said, you said something about the culture's job. And I found that very interesting because, as as these other coaches have developed, those men lead those coaches. Those men help develop and cultivate those coaches. And you said something else that was very telling too. I'm gonna put these two things together in 1 second. You said you was raised in a two-parent household where things were a lot more smoother and a lot more respectful and things worked out the way they're supposed to work. And I feel you on that because I had grandparents that were that way. My question is, what the fuck happened? If black people were once that way, this was in your tenets too, by the way. The black community was once a viable community. So what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? Did they just snap their fingers and become a viable community? Did your parents snap their fingers and the culture just made them come together? No. It was a culture led by men and by women in cooperation with each other. Now, I get the fact that you got a lot of non-cooperative women out here, but you do have a lot of women who do cooperate. So you say, get some bump bags and bring them in. I don't have to do that because the women I roll with have houses, MOT. They work at the Pentagon, they contractors, they project managers, supervisors, they work at the State Department. I don't know what kind of women you hang around because I'm trying to figure out what's going on with you brothers while y'all keep talking about these so-called maggles and daggles and all this bullshit. Where y'all niggas hang out at? So what you're trying to do is say that all black women are fucking fucked up and need a bump that they be taking in, all of them. And it's a mixed bag. I happen to know all of them. I talked to 3 women back home this week, friends of mine. One is my property manager, managing my property. Both got houses. One got 2 houses. The other one just bought another one, showed me a picture of it, being built up. Had a good conversation with her. Her another one was going through a divorce, gave her some good advice, talked her off the ledge, but she reached out to her brother. I happen to know all these single women who got it going on. The one that's building a house out in Stafford right now, she got no kids. But even the one that works at the Pentagon, I know she has kids, but she got her own shit. She's taking care of business. A good kid too, beautiful chocolate sister. See, what you're putting out right now, MOT, is fucking, it's a falsity. You only want to talk about the dregs of our society, but you won't talk about the dregs of white society. You act like there's no fucking trailer parks out here. Like ain't no fucking bet cashing outside white bitches out here. You got an opioid crisis going on in white America. So none of these bitches is on drugs. That doesn't fit your narrative. Let me ask you a question. I want you to rebut this, brother. Did black women create strip clubs? When you said you want to talk about culture. Did black people create drug culture? Did we create the ghettos? Wasn't that policy? Racial covenants and Redline, and they built the projects. We didn't build the shit. And they didn't build it for free. They built it with a purpose. Did we invent porn? Did we decide what goes on TV at 8 o'clock that our kids can't even watch TV no more without soft porn going on all day? Who created that, MOT? What culture? That you running. All right, instead of creating your own. My point is not to go in and say anybody told you to do that. Don't ever put words in my mouth. Because I have a same mindset too when it comes to war. Some people you can't say. Some people laying that beach with their that's how I get that. If you out of here, if you gone, we're not stopping you from doing anything.
Brother MOT, you up?
So this is what I like about this discussion. You have to understand that when men put themselves first, lesser men come up to defend the actual system that is currently in place.
Oh, that's enough. I just wanted you. I know folks have been borging a little bit here. Our internet is acting crazy today, and I do apologize for that. So I put the link down in the chat room, but I think I'm going to go. I was going to try and at least run the stream for another 30 minutes, but I'm getting so much work time that I like to be professional at everything I do. So it's trying to listen to a skip record gets on your nerve after a while. So I'll just wrap this up with this, folks. Listening to Jay Shine. It's that exactly what I've been saying. Garbage in, garbage out. If you hang around that particular type women, you don't want much. Your expectations aren't there. You're expecting to get fucked over sooner or later. You're expecting because that's the kind of women that you deal with. Now, I'm sure in the course of in the life that I've lived, I've met all kinds of these women. I've met some that I know exactly what their purpose and what my purpose with them was. It wasn't to have a lasting relationship with them. It wasn't to take them out to dinner. It wasn't to get to know them. And maybe for a certain point, there's some women out there that's like that too. If you might want to try something, doesn't work out, okay. In the course of that, you do what you do as grown folks. Before you buy a car, you got to check under the hood. Bottom line to it, before you buy a car, you got to check under the hood. So that 90-day rule is out the window with me. Bring you in right quick like the crew. I'm gonna close up here in just a few minutes. So come on in there, my brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to you real quick.
Come on in. Go right ahead.
Am I echoing?
Yes. No, you're not echoing. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you, and yeah, this is a powerful screen. Same thing you're saying. I just had to deal with a chick just like this. And we take care of our women, we take care of our sisters, we take care of our brothers. You know, people complaining about that, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
If me and you run across each other, what would be the purpose of you fighting me or me fighting you?
There is no purpose. I would hope if we ever met and met in purpose and in person, that it would be with a hearty handshake. It would be a hey, how you doing, my brother?
Yeah, what do you want? Pancakes or waffles?
Right. Is there something? All right, let's go have a cup of coffee and something to sit down about, some of the stuff that we talked about on the internet. That is my purpose. Although, my man, I prefer the shadows, but it is eventually one day. It's not that I'm hiding, because I do live shows, for people, but it's just that, here on the internet, because so many people that, that try and use, they're trying to hurt you in so many ways because you're trying to stick up for your own community. Crew, can you hear me? I think you might have went out there, my man. I see you on the stream, but I don't hear you speaking. So if you're speaking, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So like Tariq is on the NFAC guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to all agree, right, about how we do everything, right? But we have the same goal. We have the same purpose. Destroy white supremacy.
Yeah.
Get these people off our back.
Absolutely.
So we might go about it different ways. Yeah, I drink too much. You DJ too much. Same thing, right? But
Right.
our goal is the same.
Right. I mean, right. And that's understandable. We all have our own ways of doing things, but we all, as a collective, we try to offer up what we can. I have the platform for speaking to, hopefully, to Black America, and I tried to employ as many. I won't say employ, but I tried to bring as many Black voices to my radio and to this channel as I possibly can. It's not necessarily so much sometimes, even though the monetary aspect of it is great, but it's not so much sometimes bringing the money to the table, but it's bringing something of effectiveness to the table. And this, let's face it, the internet now is an effective tool.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm sharing this thing right now, right? I should have showed it earlier, uh, but I know they'll watch the replay. But
Uh,
you know what I mean? It's like that's good because if it's these people here right now that's watching, but then people watch the replay and they catch the message that you were giving them.
absolutely. Right. You
That's
might not.
what you want to get done. It's not so much, hey, hey, here's my cash app, but this, that.
Right.
But you want that message to get out.
Exactly. Knowledge should be disseminated freely. There was a young fellow who had asked me, he wanted to learn about the radio business, and he said, "Hey, music, I will be more than happy to pay you, my brother. I don't need you to pay me. If I can show you all the steps it took to build an internet radio station, it didn't cost me nothing to do it. So why would I charge you for it?"
Hey, you know, the game to be sold, not told. But also, it's the same way. Like, I'll be out here on Broadway, right? And, hey, can I get a cigarette from you? I got $1 for you. I'm not finna sell you cancer. Hey, you can have the cancer freely. But also, I'm not finna sell it to you because you're my bro. You know what I mean? Did you need a cigarette? Here's a cigarette. You know
Well,
what I mean? It's
let
not
me
bothering.
let me ask you. I mean, doesn't that bother you when you go to the store and the folks see you in the store opening and buying a pack of cigarettes, and when you walk out, I see this done on several occasions. When you walk out the store, that guy that's hanging out front of the store, hey man, can I have a cigarette? Nigga, you at the store? What you mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, you know I ain't going for them type of no, but you know the regular people. Like if I go to the store and then here go DJ Music, walk like, hey, hey crew, let me get a square. I got $1. I ain't charging you no dollar. You get a square free.
Right. I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand that exactly. But again, there, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I've been. It seems like we've been borging a little bit here, and I like to deliver a quality stream with some quality content. Sometimes we have to expose, as they say, the underbelly of our society in order to get right. Sometimes you got to get down you got to get down in the dirt to get clean. So
Yeah.
we can't exclude our brothers and sisters that's out there running amok. Because I think my man Jay Shine said it best earlier. Yeah, it's good to try and put the community together, but the communities consist of good and bad. Those at the top and those are at the bottom. So that is the community. So we can't just eliminate, or we can't we can't just say that element of our society doesn't exist. Now, is there some, as the young man said, that we're just going to have to leave on the beach with their guts hanging open? Yes, they are. There was going to be some. There is some.
Well, we try to save all that we can.
Right. Yeah. And just
But if I'm the lifeguard and I'm coming to save you,
right.
and you trying to drown me, I'm gonna let you drown a little bit.
Right. I got to
Then
let
I'll
you.
swim you to shore.
Right. Any lifeguard will tell you that. Listen, I'm coming to save you, but if you keep fighting me and flushing, I'm gonna let you go because you're not gonna kill me in the process.
Yeah, and I'll bring you back to shore and do the CPR and everything. But you gonna see God, and then you'll come back to earth.
Right. Good. Great analogy there, crew. But it is what it is. If you use that analogy, it is what it is. Sometimes you just cannot save everybody, although you try your hardest to.
My dad tell me this. My dad's a reverend. He said that river that they swam when they had to cross the what was it, Red River or the you know
Uh,
the
the
old Bible stuff.
the
Yeah,
river of
you can't swim DJ Music. You can't be on my back while I'm swimming that river. That's a big old wide river.
right. One more. It's called the River of Jordan. Remember the old
Yeah,
hymn.
yeah. You can't be on my back holding one of my arms while I'm trying to swim. You got to swim yourself.
Exactly.
I'll throw a rope when I get back over there. When I get across, but I can't swim for you. You got to swim yourself.
Right. Exactly. Well, crew, I really would like to go a little bit longer. I
Well,
appreciate you.
I'll talk to you later. I don't want to interrupt your stream, so but I just wanted to talk to you because you talked some real good stuff today.
All right, thank you very much, man. Appreciate you
I'm,
joining the
I'm,
stream. You're welcome to join at any time. But
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna hang up, and then I'm gonna listen to you finish.
all right.
Thank you, though, DJ.
My,
Esteemed elder.
always a pleasure, my man. You be great. And with that, folks, I'm going to close out the stream here in just a little bit. And speaking of that right there, you notice when you're around good people, you tend to pick up good people's logo. Always, I hear this. I hear Dre saying, and no one's begging you. That's going to beg you to be great because no one is. I hear the great brother Saru and Gray say the same thing. No one's going to beg you to be great, folks. That's something that has to be inside you. You got to have the want. You got to have the desire to be great. No man found greatness on his couch. No man found greatness on the with his head on a pillow. He may have thought of it, but he didn't find it. And we got a lot of cleaning up to do in our own communities. A hell of a lot of things to clean up. As I look in the YouTube streets, that's the first thing, because this is a place of great informational source. We can reach thousands and thousands of black people every day. And it's not the watered down opinion of somebody on a major newscast. And it's not that we can get fired like Nick Cannon. Folks always want to wonder why Nick Cannon got fired. Why it was so harsh about what he said. No, it wasn't what he said, it's who he said it to. And when he said it out loud. Because if you look at the Viacom people, if you look at their last name, I think it's Red Tone or Redstone or something like that. But if you look at the heritage of the Redstone family, they are Jewish. So of course Nick Cannon was going to get fired. He bit the hand that was feeding him. Lesson learned, Nick Cannon. Next time, do like Ray Charles. Own your own masters. Don't let somebody sell you a show. Create it yourself. No one can come to GSRN radio and tell me what to do with it. They can't fire me from it. They can't tell me what I can and can't play. They can't tell my listeners what they can and can't say. So folks, don't wonder why Nick Cannon got fired. He got fired just for that reason, because he slapped some Jewish people square in the mouth. That's why he got fired. Come on up there, Dre, right quick, right? People square in the mouth. Come on in there, my brother.
Morning, Supreme Elder. How you doing? Well,
I'm great.
Afternoon for you, morning for me.
Good afternoon. I was about to close down, but I got to hear what you got to say, my man. Come on with it.
Oh yeah. Just listening to the whole stream, and I say a lot of times with these brothers is they don't want to necessarily, they don't want any solutions. We talk about that a lot of times. The only solution that they want is they want to relive the years that they feel like they left behind when the Pookies or the Ray Rays or the really talented guys, I guess, that hit that stride, in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was getting all the girls, and they was, messing with this woman and that woman, and they got a kid over here, and they had to be in the books. They had to be in the books. They had to go to class. They was looked over. It wasn't popular. Now they got some money, and they still want those 8s, 9s, and 10s.
Yeah.
But the 8s, 9s, and 10s, they grew older with them.
Right.
So Father Time is undefeated. So where can I get an 8, 9, and 10? Well, let me go to these dirty foot countries. Get all the 8, 9s, and 10s I want.
Right.
That's what it basically is. It's to feed that desire of something that they miss.
Right. They missed that. They missed that time in their life when they were young and vibrant, be able to hang out with the pretty chick. So now that some of them are successful, they go and buy the pretty chick instead.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is basically.
Me, again, I've never, not. I don't consider myself a vain person at all, but I don't think it's ever been my looks that has attracted a woman. Because of this, I would like to say my voice is unique, and it comes sometimes kind of stands out in the crowd. And I think that's the attraction that if you evaluate yourself, you ask yourself, well, what attracts a woman to you? And I think that's the question a lot of these guys over there need to ask themselves. What about you that would make yourself attractive to the opposite sex?
Yeah, but I'm like, you learn this in your pecking order about being around other men.
Yes.
What I can tell, obviously, with these guys is they weren't really around other men like that, like in a pecking order. They didn't hang around any alpha males or any guys in there because what they're thinking is that this popular guy here with all of these dudes with his crew, all of them are smashing all the chicks, and that's not true.
Hmm.
Like he can only be with one chick at a time, two, and that's like pushing it, right? And his crew was getting pretty much, whoever he can get by attraction, right? That's just the way it works, right? Then you have those guys that just go by themselves. You call them the lone wolves or whatever, but as a man, you have to find out what works for you. What works for you, Elder, doesn't work for me.
Right.
And, the things that I could do and the things that you could do or any of us that hang around each other can do is totally different. But we all respect each other's spaces and we move accordingly. Like and here's the crazy thing is I've turned down more women in my life once I understood who I was.
Exactly. Right. You learn through, I hate to say it, through the war of attrition, that not every woman is good for you.
Oh, hell no.
The outer package might seem nice, but then when you start dwelling below that, back in my day, I see. I'm going to address that comment there, crew. Just it's not so much that I'm saying that but I grew up. I was back in the day, but before Wesley Snipes, dark skinned men weren't in fashion.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Right. So I had to find other ways to stand out in the crowd.
Yeah.
So again, with that, where some men or some women are attracted to men through their looks, but to me, eventually, just as some men are only attracted to women through their looks, you find that there's a level, dare I say, without trying to discredit anyone, but there's a level of shallowness that I feel that anyone who just bases a relationship on what someone looks like.
Yeah. I'm like, that's what it is. I'm like, you're attracted to that first. That's like the packages, right? Then you open it up and then you find out that it's expired.
Right.
Throw it in the trash, right?
Right.
It's the same thing like with anything else. Me personally, I realize that we all got a type that we're sucker for, men and women, right? You just got something that you're physically attracted to, the way that your brain chemistry works, that this type of person will get away with more than you would allow somebody else to get away with.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So, and growing up in that same time period that you're talking about, is, yeah, I'm like, I was like Eddie Murphy and Wesley Snipes, they came through. I was like, yes. And then when I was here at high school, it was that Tyson Beckford guy, right?
Right.
And he put dark skinned dudes back on the map. We was like, yeah, right? We was like, yeah. Right?
Exactly.
But it was just preference. Now, any other race of women, I never had a problem with during this time period. It was just the women that I liked necessarily didn't like me, or they did like me, but I wasn't fashionable. Right? And it's okay. I'm like, your children, your teenagers, this is like a microcosm of society. This is what you see on TV. This is what's fashionable. This is what they're taught. Like a lot of people don't, they don't understand it. They're taught this from their family members, be from their parents, their
Mm,
moms, parents, whatever.
right,
But I don't go around here flipping chairs and blaming every black woman in the world because of you know the problems that I had, dating when I was younger, or getting a girl to like me, or check the little box, do you like me, yes or no, in the class.
right,
Like we got to be adults about that. And what
right.
I realized, yeah.
And it seems to me, Dre, that the guys over there, and some guys, not only on the YouTube streets, but some guys that you literally know in person have never had that experience of checking the box, because they were left out then. They were left out as as adolescents. They were left out as teenagers, and now they are being left out as grown men. So they just grow bitter as the years go on.
Well, the problem is they don't even write the note.
Right.
That's the issue. They're complaining that they're not being chosen. That's not how it works, right? Like, okay, what do you mean by chosen? Did you let her know your intentions? No. Hold on, she's just supposed to walk up to you and pick you like some fruit off a tree or something? Like, where do we do this at?
All right, absolutely. Again, it's always to me is okay. It's their physical attraction. Something about you and something about her made you hurt you stop and made her stop long enough for you guys to have some kind of conversation. Once you get into the conversation and you find that you wanted to go further, and it develops into this and it develops into that, now you start to get to know the person, and you start to find out that this person isn't all that she's cracked up, or he or she hasn't cracked up to be. So as you go along in this relationship, it's up to you to decide what you'll stand for and what you'll put up with. If you will have that always argumentative and always want to make you fight somebody in a crowd because they looked at you the wrong way, maybe that's not the kind of right woman for you. I mean,
Well, I believe you. I believe you. Yeah.
Right, and so many times, again, not in only on the YouTube streets, but because a lot of these guys, they just don't only walk the streets; they're an everyday walk of life. They walk around and say, this black woman didn't do this for me, or this black woman didn't do that for me. And I know we have the angrier man sometimes that we use as a prop, but he speaks truth, because he speaks that very same language that that a lot of these men and unfortunately a lot of these women speak. Again, not to leave any of us out, there's there's some derelict Negroes, there's some derelict women out there as well. So we got to be mindful. I'm gonna bring you back on into this stream here. Go ahead there, Drake. Let me bring crew back in for a sec.
Okay.
No, I just have to say, because y'all talking real shit, I just had to deal with some women like that. Well, mad over brother girls and this, that. I'm sitting in the crib, chilling. But yeah, you, Dre, and the esteemed elder DJ Music is talking real shit. That's how you deal with women. You know what I mean? Dre, you're not dealing with the same women I'm dealing with, right? We're married, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But see, the thing about this, and Dre, I'll agree with you. But I would say that based on your articulation, and based on what I know about you and the other, we would all be after the same caliber of women. We wouldn't be down in this dirty foot countries looking for women.
Nah.
The same caliber women, but Dre's married. He wouldn't be posted up on Broadway with. I'm trying to go catch me a girl.
Right, absolutely.
He already has a girl.
I don't think
we're not doing the same thing, but it's the same caliber of woman.
Right. And that's what I mean. A woman of when I say that caliber, I mean a woman of substance. A woman of that has an opinion, rather, is not really afraid to to correct your wrongs or point out something that you may have not said right or said incorrectly, or that's basically that's what I'm talking about. But over in those spaces, again, it's they have that blanket of all women or this or I like that. So I'm gonna leave black
Yeah.
women alone and go surf over in the dirty foot countries and go buy. I don't want to say won't go fall in love, but go buy these women and put them on the army's trophies. That's what
Well,
they do.
yeah, that's
Is it?
they don't really do it either. Like what I mean is they're talking about doing it, they're projecting doing it, but they really don't do it because like you in the military, that was cool for the first month or so, right? For a
Yeah,
couple of weeks, but it
yeah,
wasn't cool after a while. If you was in those places for a long period of time, you got to the point where, nah, I'm good. Like I just want to just chill out. Like
yeah.
I'm good. Like this, we did that, we done that. I know you here for the money. I know you here for this. But then you would get to that point where you were like, nah, man, I'm gonna pull something. Like
Right,
without coming out of my pockets. Like
right,
this is it becomes a competition. And then you realize, what it is. Like like if you got a guy that's like he's dating a stripper, right? All these dudes paying. But he's picking up and taking her home and whatever. And you think about like that dichotomy and whatever. And that's why I said is women are women. Culture defines how you get to them, how you talk, right? But women are women to a certain degree. You got your good, you got your bad, and you got your complete total ugly, just like men. Good, bad, and ugly. It differs.
hmm
But it's that culture. And if you can't handle women in your own culture, if you can't deal with women in your own culture,
Then you're a fuck.
then how
I'm
you going to
sorry.
deal with women in another culture?
right. You can't. I mean,
Hey Dre, let me back up what you said real quick, right? Cause same way you talk about women, the same way George was talking. You know George, our buddy George, our YouTube guy George, right? He said, man, when you about that life, when you Omar, when you that guy out there in B-more, that guy in Philly, that guy in Chicago, yeah, you got the money, you got all of this, right? It's a lot of bad shit that goes with that too.
well, I
It's a
always say,
lot of bad. It's a lot of bad stuff that goes with that.
crew, if a fella needs money to buy love, then he don't want much. He really don't want much. I mean, you can buy love every night of the week. Depends. Depends on which you're willing to go. You can have a different kind of woman every night if you got that kind of money and you're willing to buy
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But if,
but DJ, but then you gotta wear a vest every night while you out there getting that woman.
see again, if that's the kind of life that you live, you can't go back. You can't come to these spaces and complain about it because you did it to yourself. So you can't complain about the Charlie tricksters that's out there because that's the environment that you live in. That's the environment that you party in. That's the environment that you sleep in. You are a product of your environment. Now, if you go to some of these colleges, the Spelman College, and you see some of these young women in the libraries, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, girl, what you reading? Oh, I'm about to do a dissertation on so and so, so and so. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, hey DJ, I'm not one of these gangster dudes.
Right.
I'm one of these bar dudes and dealing with the bar chicks. Yeah, I get all the bar chicks, but it's still like you said, you're dealing with them.
Well, the same
You
place.
don't know who you're dealing with.
Right. The same place you find a woman is the same place you'll lose a woman. If you found her in a bar, chances are you're going to lose her in a bar.
That is correct.
Indeed.
That is correct. Like it's I say like this with a lot of these guys is they haven't went through that phase in their life where they got what they wanted, right? And what they want is to feel um, powerful, right? And you can't feel powerful unless I guess you got some women with you or something, right? But women are attracted to men that compete against other group of men.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have a talent, my bad, that separates you from the crowd of your competitors. The guys that can sing and and they were artistic, and, actors and stuff like that, or your football players, the basketball players. These guys, they're competing against other group of men. So it drives some primal nature uh, in the protection and providing. Not to say that their personality is such, but if he's the best out of these competing group of men in a physical nature, that does something. It's not for every woman either. Like, some women like somebody else. They like a guy with a sharp mind and a sharp intellect, quick wit, funny, whatever, right? But it's just the perception of such. Like, if we see a woman that's built a certain way, do we really like that woman, or is it just a physical thing of reproduction?
Right.
It's
Right.
driving, right?
Right. I think it is. Every man has what he considers to be sexy, visual to him, and that's understandable. I don't see anything wrong with that. But again, a lot of these men, want to throw the baby out with the bathwater sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But you know what it really is? If you're this old, right? Like you said, like if you're 35 and over, and you don't have, a lot of these guys ain't married, they ain't got no kids. So if you think about it, the ones that are complaining, if you listen to them, then your kids should be grown by now.
Right.
So what child support are you paying?
Right.
Like, what you talking about? And they say, the baby mama and kids, whatever. Okay, the woman stops being the baby mama once the child is grown.
18 in some states.
Yeah, that is my child's mother. That is my daughter's mother. That is my son's mother. That child is not a baby. The way you hear them talk, you think that the kid is just in elementary school or something like that. But the kid, the person is grown, and actually that child had kids. Well, they're a grandfather or on their way to being one, maybe. So what are you complaining about? Then you get this newer group of men that are pain sharing, right? Right? But they haven't went through because they've been told, man, leave these women alone. When they get older and older, oh, why can't I go up the ladder of success? Well, ain't nobody in no company going to trust you with more responsibility if you can't be responsible for a woman and some children. How can you run a group of adults when you can't even take care of an adult and a child, or provide for it, or work within tandem? Like if your house, I'm not trusting a single guy because you can quit the day tomorrow, go gallivanting off. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just you. It's just you.
Right, and you're absolutely right. A lot of employers, even though it's not per se on a requirement on a job application, but when you check that box that's married, a lot of employers look at that. They look at that as stability. This guy's married, he's got some children. Chances are he's not going to go anywhere. So I would feel more comfortable hiring this guy over someone that says he's single and might get bored with this job in a week or 2 weeks or a month.
Yeah, and you're less likely to do something ridiculous because you're not going to put your family in danger, and you're going to follow the company's policy to the letter. You're like, because it's in your best interest, to do what you're told. So
exactly, yeah, I agree.
And for men, I don't really listen to the dudes really anymore. Like in passing, I may catch something here and there, or if it comes up in conversation, because at the end of the day, it doesn't concern me really. Like and what I mean, it doesn't concern me. I'm like, I like if I get up here because I was in those spaces a little bit, and when I started to talk about, okay, man, if you're going over there, don't lie about it. Just say what you're doing.
Right.
Don't set these guys up for failure. I got attacked for that. Right? I'm like, all right, cool. Like, but I live over here. Y'all live over there. It's a difference between traveling, pumping and dumping, and living somewhere. There's a whole different ballgame with that. And they don't care. I said, look, man, even if you do get the chick, you're not getting the top of the top. You get the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and you gotta be involved with the men because the men will look out for you, just like how we look out for each other. Hey man, I wouldn't mess with old girl. You know, she got like 2 or 3 kids. And she's messing with this dude. And, yo, I heard she burned it or whatever. Like, how what I mean? You in another country. What connections are you making?
Right.
It
Right.
should get cheaper and cheaper for you as you go because you should have a friend like, hey man, you can crash over here, like, or instead of being in a hotel, you pay that person some money or whatever. Y'all vice versa. Hey man, you want to travel? Come over. Stay at my crib, man. If you want to come to the states and kick it a little bit or whatever, you make connections.
Right.
There's not a place that I haven't been on this planet that I'm not still in contact with people that I've ran into, men, women. And I can go travel, say what's up to them, tell them I'm coming. Oh yeah, you can crash here or whatever, or hey, this is the best place for you to be. Like here, this and the third. What these dudes really are is they're not really traveling. They're not really traveling because if they was traveling and they was doing what they were saying that they were doing, they wouldn't be up here complaining about black women, right?
Right. Yep, they definitely would be. Dre, I'm gonna close up here. I'll let you have that final say. So I tried to keep it right at
Yeah, I
two,
got
2.5 hours. Um, there was another clip that I wanted to play about some Karens, but for some reason the other internet's been acting up, and it seems that when I do play the clips, it kind of drops the signal for some reason or the other. So we'll haul up and over in our meeting spots in a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and let you have the last word.
Yeah.
For the week.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for letting me come up here, Elder. You got Great Regime on Monday and movie night, of course, and then we got Shar later on today with her article reactions. I probably have to do my stream not on the usual Tuesday, but I'm gonna have to do it on Wednesday because I gotta go do something. But it will happen this week, and it will be enjoyable and funny. Kind of piggybacking off of what you said, there, Elder, to enlighten some things.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah, but salute to the nation, and Ebo don't bleach. Don't no one's going to beg you to be great, but we will hold you accountable.
Yes, indeed we will, folks. Yes, indeed we will. We'll hold you accountable because that's exactly what we're here for. We have this platform, and it's there for again, at anyone that is welcome to come over to the radio station or when we record these. And if you have an opinion or something that you could pass on to our community, then by all means, get in touch with me. There's several ways to get in touch with me, either via the radio station. I'm on Wednesdays with Shar from 8 to 11. In between that, Shar and Ruby does another great show over there. And of course, you can always check out the YouTube channel. And and if there's something for you, like I always say, when you go to the grocery store, pick up what you need, leave the rest on the shelf. So with that, folks, thank everybody for tuning in a little bit earlier today. Make sure you check out the radio station website. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And please, by all means, be safe out there. The coronavirus is definitely real. A lot of people don't think about it until it hits you home personally. So I'll speak of this to my niece and nephew. They lost their father this weekend to COVID. So it's definitely real. Definitely is, folks. So with that, have a great day, folks, and everybody be cool.